Because that's the funny thing about North Carolina sports outside of Duke and North Carolina, models of consistency in basketball.
Right.
All right. And it helps that you've had Hall of Fame coaches the entire time. You had Hall of Fame coach Mike Krzyzewski for 40 years.
Yeah.
And Carolina had 2 Hall of Fame coaches for the majority of this time.
Yes.
With a grand total of, 5 national championships between the two. So, yeah, we get a little spoiled with triangle basketball. Totally get that.
Yeah.
But professional sports-wise, things have been a little bit different.
Yes.
Okay. So the Carolina Hurricanes have now made it to the playoffs and been a great team for 5 straight years. No drama about the playoffs. They're in.
Yeah.
As Gold pointed out on Twitter when they clinched over the weekend that from 1998 through 2018, for 20 years, they made the playoffs 5 times. But you know what happened in those 5 times?
Yeah.
They went to 2 Stanley Cups. They won one of them. Another time they went on a crazy run and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That was 2009.
Right.
Carolina Panthers, right? Carolina Panthers playoff history sucks. Like straight up, it sucks.
Yeah.
However, there's 2 really incredible seasons mixed in that got to Super Bowls.
Yes.
I mean, Jake Delhomme is a legend for a reason.
Yes.
All right. And shout out to Jake Delhomme, who made his time available for me to talk about his time in NFL Europe for a brief history of triangle sports on the World League of American Football.
That was the first Super Bowl. That was the first game I've ever cried.
Was the first Super Bowl?
Yes.
Oh, man.
When he kicked that kick, I cried.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I never cried at a sporting event. I was like, this might
John
be
Casey, what you doing? Why you setting it up for Vinatieri like that, man? Come on now. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you the last time I was that invested in an NFL season quite the way I was with Cam Newton's MVP Super Bowl 50 run. All right. That was every Sunday. I was like, I don't care what's going on. I am watching this game. I am dabbing. I got all that stuff, right? But in betweens, not great for the Panthers. But you take those 2 runs, right? So here are the Carolina Panthers again. And they're trying to generate as much interest as possible. Last week they had it because of the pro days.
Right.
But now I feel like we're just making stuff out of thin air. Who do you think the Panthers are going to draft?
C.J. Stroud.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
But you see, Candace, that's not a good sports talk radio topic on, what's today's date? March 28th. We still have a whole month to go.
So you're going to convince yourself that they're going to do Bryce Young by then.
So that's exactly it. We got to talk about Bryce Young. This is what our friend Will Brinson did on CBS Sports. Dennis pointed out to me another mock draft. Now, you know my theory on mock drafts, right? They are adult male fan fiction. Like, you know when you go to the supermarket and you see like the really sexy Renaissance art on a book?
Yeah.
And
that one guy with the long hair.
Oh, yeah, it's Fabio.
Yeah.
And it's essentially smut.
Yeah.
Right? That's what mock drafts are for dudes of a certain demographic.
Okay.
All right? And it's like all breathless. Here's Will Brinson's 2023 mock draft. Lamar Jackson traded to Colts. Jordan Love gets wide receiver after Aaron Rodgers trade. Does that not sound like I'm just hot and bothered just thinking about that? Like, whoo!
You're probably one of the guys in the basement who's just like, oh my gosh, can't wait. Let me read the rest of these.
I gotta read this. And I can. Will probably has I usually button my Oxford up until the second to last, right?
Yeah.
So I usually leave the top 2 done. Brinson's probably typing this up with 4 buttons unbuttoned, okay? Just letting that chest hair out like, yes, here's what's happening.
All 7 rounds?
Oh, yeah.
They
only bottom 2 buttons buttoned.
Oh.
Candace.
Yes.
It's a fantasy, so of course he's going 7 rounds.
Chapter by chapter.
All right?
You may even did an 8th round. He actually probably did unrestricted free agents.
Most of us.
Undrafted free agents.
Yeah, that's true. Most of us are lucky to go 1 round. He wants to go all 7, okay? So he's hydrated. So here's Will Brinson's mock draft with Bryce Young. Panthers didn't trade up to the number 1 spot hoping to figure out which quarterback they wanted. Maybe they were hoping to really fall in love with a Will Levis type. Don't think it's out of the question, but David Tepper lacks patience and Bryce Young has the highest floor of this group. So despite CJ Stroud's betting market, I'll pencil him in here as a first overall pick. Have you looked at Bryce Young?
Yes.
Does he look like, not height, frame? That's my concern with Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And I also think, based on everything that Frank Reich has said, the head coach of the Panthers, C.J. Stroud fits what they want.
Yeah.
He's
Bryce is a little slender.
He's a little slender, but C.J. Stroud is more of the passer, the arm. He can run. I think that's one of the more underutilized aspects of his game. Mm-hmm. But Frank Reich doesn't want that because Frank Reich's been straight up talking to you about what he likes in a quarterback, which screams C.J. Stroud.
Yeah. Well, I also think he wants like the as close to not version of Cam, so we don't have a second coming or any type of comparison.
Which is why the Anthony Richardson thing cracks me up.
Absolutely not.
Like, there's no chance that's going to be the case. But there are some truthers out there that believe he is the answer.
Well, Cam Newton said he's better than 32 of these jokers. So, could he be a mentor to CJ?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I mean, I don't. Maybe Cam could, but unfortunately for Cam, when he goes in the locker room, he easily becomes the most popular guy in the locker room. People like Cam, and that ends up being the problem.
That wouldn't be good for CJ.
Probably not. Okay. Probably not. When Cam enters places, look, it was actually one of the most self-aware things Cam Newton ever said to his dad on a YouTube interview. It was a strange interview where his dad interviewed him.
Yeah.
And even his dad called him out, but I believe Cam being self-aware that, the problem with me is that I'm me. And when I come into it, why do you think Steve Smith and Cam Newton get along?
Commanding presence.
Right.
Yeah, there can be one alpha male in the room.
Only one.
Yeah.
Only one, okay? And Steve Smith thought he had the territory claimed, but unfortunately for him, that was not the case.
Right.
But apparently, Will Brinson's not the only one who's out here talking about Bryce Young being the top pick. Here's Mike Tannenbaum, who's on TV for a reason, talking about Bryce Young.
In the draft, he is a playmaker. He is a guy that, when you look at his body of work over the last 3 years, over 80 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions, I think he's a better athlete than people give him credit for. He has great anticipation. It was razor thin over C.J. Stroud. I just thought Bryce Young, at the end of the day, guys, made more plays with his feet.
There you go. There's Mike Tannenbaum. But the more plays with his feet part, it's ironic that we've gotten to this point where that's an okay thing now. We want that now. It used to be you didn't want that. Cam Newton, no, can't have that.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure C.J. Stroud can. I mean, we saw it against Georgia.
Absolutely.
What am I missing here?
Not a thing. It's March, and we need something to do.
So I'm falling for it.
You're falling. Don't let it get to you.
I felt. You know what? You're right. I fell for it.
You about to start convincing yourself that Bryce might be the guy.
I mean,
by the end of this, you might start saying Will leaves it, and I could make that case for North Carolina. So yeah.
Hey, look, if I read enough of this fan fiction, I'll start believing anything.